Everyone, I'm Jimmy Simmons talking to you today from the Nicolason Art Museum. We have a beautiful exhibit up today. It's called the Black Cowboys, the Silent and Forgotten Riders of the Rockies. And I first got involved with this when there was a small exhibit at the Three Trails Museum, and an individual up there decided he was going to celebrate Black History Month, and he had a couple of small pictures on the wall with a couple of thumbtacks in them. And I went up to check it out, and I said, look, next year, I promise you, I will have a nice exhibit for you to display here at the museum. And so I spent a year doing research, finding pictures, and finding stories about Black cowboys along the Rockies. And this exhibit is what I came up with in that short period of time. The challenges that I had was finding researchers that could help me locate some of this information. I was interested in Black cowboys in Wyoming, but that was kind of rare. I did find one, his name is Thorne Biggs, who came to Wyoming just about the time that Wyoming got its statehood around 1890. He was one of the top ranch hands around this country. And I've got to go and pick his saddle up. That's him in the saddle. And there's a museum that's agreed to let me pick that saddle up and bring it back to Casper. So it will be on display sometime after Martin Luther King Day. But I'm excited about it because this is forgotten history. And after doing the research, I was so excited. I just kept finding, I may find one this week or find one a couple of weeks. And Michaels was very instrumental in framing and matting these particular items. And they did an excellent job. It's a beautiful exhibit. And in spite of all the obstacles that our people faced in Wyoming and along the Rocky Mountain Range, they still made a lot of progress. So I'm proud to present it to the state of Wyoming, and hopefully you'll get some enjoyment out of reading and discussing what has actually taken place along the Rockies, and believe it, that it happened. Here it is. One of the most successful Black ranchers in the country, in the West, came out of Wyoming. His name was Jim Edwards, and I've actually his homestead is over by the Lusk area, and I actually went into the house. He had the first indoor plumbing, indoor hot water, indoor plumbing, and I went through this house. We found it. It's a rancher that bought the whole property, and he allowed us to go in and take pictures and explore what that house looked like. It's still standing, and all the stones that are on that house, his wife went out in the fields and picked them up and put them in piles around the ranch, and Jim would come by with the wagon and pick them up, and then both of them laid the stones on that house. I did go through it. He has an upstairs shower in that place, and I listened to the story how he got out to this part of the country, where he came from somewhere back east with a group of Italians, and they came into the Newcastle area to work in the coal mines. But when he got here, instead of giving the job to Jim Edwards, the group gave the job to one of the relatives. So Edwards walked from Newcastle to Lusk, I think it's 88 miles, with a suitcase full of clothes, and he found a job on a ranch over there where he worked for 3 or 4 years and learned the trade, and then he broke away and got I think it was about 93 or 94 acre homestead of his own, and he worked that cattle ranch, and he went from 93 acres, and when he passed away, he had 11,000 acres over there. And so it's a beautiful story of tragedy and triumph. I guess that's the best way to put it, because I know he put up with a lot of adversity over there. In this article, it says how he was really, really careful about associating with the neighbors, especially if they have like a social event, and he would make sure and make sure that he didn't come in contact with a lot of white women. But that's hard to do in this country. So anyway, one of this gentleman right here, we had this exhibit on. We had a banquet, and we had this exhibit at the college, and his daughter showed up. She's an older woman, and she showed up, and she saw this picture, and she just stood there and wept. You know, that's my dad. She kept saying, that's my dad. I remember that picture. And so I'm glad we could have something that someone could relate to. Anyway, it's been quite a challenge to put this together. I'm going to continue to try to find pieces. You know, I know that there are other pieces out there where I found out that a lady that I knew, name was Cookie Haynes. I grew up with her husband, Cedric Haynes, which has passed away now. She was a 7-time world champion barrel racer, and nobody's ever heard of her. It's a black lady. And so I'm gonna try to get in touch with her so I can get some memorabilia to add to this collection. I personally know Charlie Sampson, which is a world champion bull rider. I met him at the same place I met her in Henderson, Colorado at a rodeo. And so I'm gonna continue to add to it. This is my own personal, I was a bull rider at one point, and this is my my bull rope, and it showed, I rode my last bull with that bull rope, and this is the last bull that I rode in Edgerton, Wyoming. And that's my father and sister. That's me, another sister and another sister. But anyway, that picture was taken in 1959. But a young kid. But how I got started in riding bulls was I was sitting on a fence at a rodeo, and a guy came up to me and asked me if I would ride a bull. And of course, I was young. You know, didn't want to back down. Oh yeah, I can ride a bull. So he got me over to the chute and got me cinched down, and I won the event. So that's what got me started riding bulls, and I was going through some personal things, going through a divorce with my first wife and all. And I was doing some crazy things, you know, drinking whiskey and riding bulls. That's a tough and roughnecking too. So that was a tough period in my life, but it all settled down. I wouldn't ride one today, but anyway, it's been. My mom came up from Texas to see me ride in the Bicentennial Rodeo was that 1976. I rode in the 76 Bicentennial Rodeo in Buffalo, Wyoming. And I got hurt in that particular rodeo, but you know, I rode the bull for about 30 seconds, which that's too long. But a couple of guys, well, it was 3 brothers, the Losi brothers, came out and got me off that bull because I tied a suicide knot. I said, I'm gonna ride this bull. So I had no choice. So when the buzzer rang, I couldn't get my hand loose. I couldn't get off. So they realized that, and they rushed out and got me off of it, and I'm thankful for them. And just last weekend, that happened in 76, just last weekend up at Perkins, I ran into the guy, and he said, Jimmy, it's been a long time since I've seen you. I said, yeah, it was in that rodeo arena up in Buffalo, Wyoming. You got me off that bull. But anyway, it's been fun reading all of the stories about what's happened in these people's lives in a society that's virtually a white society. So, like I said earlier, in spite of all the obstacles we had to jump, still made a lot of progress. So that's noteworthy. So these are the things that they've done, and I hope that, like I say, continue to add to this project. That maybe next couple of years that it'll be twice as big as it is today. So thank you.